Hello, I am going to show you how to take this image that I shot while I was attending South by Southwest out in the convention center hallway of this wonderful hat man walking by this row of what I thought were really cool lights. And we're going to take this image and we're going to work it up, give it a little bit of grunge, crop it, make it black and white, put it in my style, and to show you a few of my favorite apps along the way. So I shot that particular picture in ProCamera app, and I've just launched it here, and I'm going to show you what I particularly love about ProCamera is the ability to separate the exposure control, which you can see I'm dragging around here. And if I wanted to expose a little bit more for the light that's falling on my desk, I could do that. I could bring it in between here, or I could bring the exposure all the way down and just expose for my computer screen there. So I love the ability to really control my focus. So if you find a good camera app that allows you to do this, I really suggest that you use it. It's much better than the native camera app because you can actually here in this app, ProCamera, separate your focus, as you can see I'm doing here. Focus on the keyboard and set my exposure maybe somewhere in between here, and that's going to be a much better result than you might have with the native camera app, in my opinion. So that's why I like ProCamera. So we're going to go ahead and get out of ProCamera, and we're going to begin to work the image up. And right out of ProCamera, it saves it to my camera roll. I go ahead and bring it into an app I like called Camera Plus. And Camera Plus allows me to bring in this image and edit it. I don't have to shoot it in this app, of course, but I can edit it in this app. And I love all the scenes here that it has, and you can play around with them. I think I might throw a little clarity on this one, and I'm certainly going to crop it square, which is my favorite format. And another favorite of mine is black and white, so we'll go ahead and make this black and white. And I like the way that looks now, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. So I shot it in ProCamera. I'm editing it in Camera Plus. And now I'm going to apply a little bit of my style, a little bit of some filter goodness that I like in a little app called ScratchCam. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that image in. There it is, the one we just saved, black and white here. And it's going to come in. It's going to apply a random effect. And what I love about ScratchCam is the ability to change the borders, the color, and the scratches, and to change the intensity on those as well. So this is the random one it came in with. You can save favorites if you find a little formula you like. I'm going to go ahead and hit the effects button because there's a formula here that I like quite well. I just clicked on it, it's loaded it up, and as if you can see I dragged this lens here. I can take the intensity of this filter right to about where I'm comfortable with it. And I actually like it the way it is there. You can also see inside of this app you can control all of the scratches, just absolutely wonderful textures and borders and colors. But I'm happy with what we have here, so I'm going to go ahead and save this to my album. And while it's saving, I'm already thinking about what app I'm going to bring it into next. And I might finish this off with a little app called Lomob. And I'll go ahead and load that in here. We'll bring it up. It's got all these classic vintage 35mm through the viewfinder filters and borders, and I like to pick the 6x6 here. It gives it kind of a rounded border there and a little bit of grunge. And if you tap on the image, you can control all of these settings here, the blur, the amount of the vignette, and I'm going to put all those back on. I just wanted to show you for the sake of demonstrations here. So I kind of like what's going on there. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Save that to the iPhone library. So we've already got a wonderful little app dance going on here, some app stacking as I like to call it. And we'll go back to the camera roll just to kind of show you. This is where we started. This was the next step into Camera Plus. Then we went into ScratchCam. Now we're into low mob. And the very last thing I'm going to show you is one of my favorite post-production apps, and that app's called Filterstorm. And we can bring that image now into Filterstorm, and we can adjust it. We can put some further brightness, contrast, we can adjust the curves, we can do all of those things. But while it's loaded in here, before I do any of those things, I'm going to go back and I'm going to think about here putting on a little caption on my photo. And maybe you're going to put where you shot it. This was at South by Southwest, and it was 2012. And I love this little typewriter app. It's super cool. I'm going to save that to the camera roll. And this is what I really wanted to show you in Filterstorm. This ability to create double exposures or add these kinds of really cool text typewriter captions on things. And the very bottom is an option here called Add Exposure. It essentially allows you to do kind of an old school double exposure. And I'm just going to place that text. Maybe I want that text to be right about here. And I'm going to hit what looked like these little levels, and they're the blending modes. You can play around with them. I really don't know what they do. I just press a button and try it, and I'm going to try multiply here. I'm going to hit the little brush. And what the brush allows me to do, if I wanted to, once it jumps out of this menu, I could hit the brush again and then brush in that exposure. Or what I find really cool and what really has some wonderful potential for all of you artists out there is this little gradient tool. Gradient tool, you see I have some options here at the bottom. I'm going to pick this second option here and just drag this bigger circle around closer to where my text is, and then pull out the smaller circle to give it a little bit more of a range. And anywhere in that blue area that you can kind of see is what's going to blend in. I'm really happy with that right now. I think that looks really cool. It's in my style. It's got this nice little authentic typewriter feel effect that gives kind of my caption on my image there. And I'm going to go ahead and save that to my camera roll. And this is all, of course, before you bring it into an app like Instagram or another favorite photo sharing app. I've done this little app dance. I'll walk you back through all of the changes I made. I think we went through about 4, maybe even 5 apps. And we'll go back here, and we'll go back to the camera roll. This is where we started. We went into Camera Plus and squared it off and made it black and white. And we gave it a little bit of a clarity filter. We brought it into ScratchCam and really grunged it up. Brought it into low mob and gave it a little bit of a rounded border there and a little bit more grunge. Finally, we brought in this cool little caption that we typed in our little digital virtual typewriter, and then we blended that together in Filterstorm. So there's a little quick and dirty tutorial on how I worked up this particular image, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope to bring you some more in-depth, a little deeper tutorials on how to get familiar with iPhone shooting and apping things up.